Okay, so what we'll do here in today's class, we'll talk about the another service of AWS, that is simple storage service. So we have covered the another storage service. What is that? EBS, Elastic Block Store. EBS, that as part of the compute services, as part of EC2, we learned the type of EBS and we learned how to add the EBS volume in the EC2 instances of the virtual machines. So today we'll learn about another simple storage service. It is only for specific storage items. Okay, it is for storage service alone, nothing else. Now let's understand more what exactly this storage service and what are the benefits and usage of that. Okay, so what it says, S3 provides developers and IT team with secure, durable, and highly scalable object-based storage. Remember this point, what I said, S3 provides developers and IT teams with secure, durable, and highly scalable object-based storage. So that could be question comes like S3, what is S3? You can say it is an object-based storage, simple, and which provides the developers or which provides with a secure and durable platform for the developers to use, right? So you can say S3 is an object-based storage. So my question to you here is, then what is the EBS? EBS also is storage system, right? Storage service. What is the difference between S3 and EBS? Okay, we'll talk the difference after this one. Let me first finish this S3, then I'll talk about the differences. Okay. Now, what it says, it is a safe place to store your files. Files can be just remember this bullet points, whatever I'm just telling you. Files can be from 0 bytes to 5 terabyte. So that means whatever files you are putting into the bucket or storing into the S3 storage service, that should be from 0 byte to 5 terabyte. That means the file, whatever you are transferring, could be up to 5 terabyte. Okay, see how big the file could be, the size, right? And files are stored in a bucket. So whenever we store any file, that you have to first create a bucket. The name of the folder here, it's called as bucket. Okay, we create a bucket, and in that bucket we put the object, right? We put the file. So in this way, we have to do all kind of file store into the bucket. Now what you can do here, newly created bucket is private by default. Newly created bucket is private by default. Remember this point. Newly created bucket is private by default. Based on your requirement, you have to make it public or keep it private. Okay. Newly created bucket is private by default. And it provides unlimited storage. It provides unlimited storage. That is why the cloud is so important and so demand in the market. Whenever you go to set up your own infrastructure, own data center, you have to always consider about the storage. Based on your project, based on your account, if your storage is out of full, is complete, is full, then what you need, based on requirement, you need more storage devices to be added. And again, you have to go to the market, procure the hardwares and put it there, right? So it is again, you have to pay lots of cost and you have to maintain it. So better, what you do, you always go for the cloud market and choose the services based on your need. And this storage provided unlimited storage. This service provided unlimited storage. Not suitable to install any operating system or applications. What it says, not suitable to install any operating system or applications. S3 is universal namespace. Just listen carefully. I'll ask a few questions after that. not suitable to install any operating system or applications. S3 is universal namespace, that is, bucket names must be unique globally. My question is here, what is the other service which is universal? Whatever we have learned so far, what is the other service? Yes, exactly. So IAM also universal, that means unique globally. And what is the difference between EBS and S3? By reading this line, you can say, what is, let me tell you, EBS, the elastic block storage, it works as a hard drive where you can install your operating systems or applications, right? You can install operating OS, you can install applications. It's a volume, okay? It's a hard disk where you can install your operating system or applications. But S3 is a completely is an object-based storage. Only you can store your documents. Only can be stored the objects. That's why it is not suitable to install any operating system or applications. However, in EBS, we can install operating system and applications. Got my point, guys? This kind of questions may ask you, right? So just remember, whenever we do the lab classes, right, hands-on, that time we'll come to know all these things again in more details. Okay. Now,
so, here you have mentioned the file can be 0 by 2 5 TB, right?
Yes.
And also unlimited storage. So what the file size they have mentioned the up to 5 TB and the bucket size unlimited. Is it?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay. Okay.
This is bucket style sizes. You understood perfectly. So this is the bucket size is unlimited. Files can be from 0 bytes to 5 terabyte, means one file whenever you are transferring, whenever you are uploading, that could be up to 5 terabyte. Okay, that could be up to 5 terabyte. One file could be up to 5 terabyte. More than that, it will not accept it. Okay, you can store unlimited data, means you can store hundreds of 5 terabyte files, but not at one go. One file you put it, then another file you put it, and the file whatever you're putting should be less than 5 terabyte. And the storage you can do unlimited. Okay, got my point?
Yes.
One doubt is there.
Yeah.
This line newly created bucket is private by default. I don't get it.
Okay, so I'll say the first point what it says. Okay, files are stored in a bucket. That means whenever you are going to store any file, you have to create a bucket, right? And then store a file. So whenever you create a bucket, the newly created bucket is by default private, means nobody can access that file except the account owner.
Okay.
Means it is not accessible to outside, completely private and can be accessed by the owner only.
Okay.
Okay. So if you want to be shared among within your team or within your project or account, then you have to provide the appropriate access label so that they can access to your files or bucket. Also, if you want this to be given access to the public, so whole world can see the file or the object, right? In some cases, like you are putting, if you guys using the Google Drive, it is an object-based storage, right? It is an object-based storage. Google Drive, you are putting all your documents and sharing the link with your friends, circles, and anybody in the world, and they are viewing and downloading the files, right? The same thing, Amazon S3. It's just an object-based where you put your files, and if you want to share the public to the world, you can just share the link and everyone can download or share, view the files. read it. Okay. Even you can put the videos there, and that videos also can be viewed by anyone. You have to set the link, but you cannot install anything. You can store the files, the objects. The objects could be ASCII or binary. Does not matter. Okay. So again, is it clear? So newly created
Yes.
bucket is private. Okay, good. Now, so let's see the types of S3 buckets. The type of buckets we can create. Like we in the EBS, we have type of EBS volumes. So similarly, we have type of S3 also, right? The standard. So here, S3 storage tiers or tiers, whatever you say, S3 storage tiers. We have S3 standard, S3 IA, S3 one zone, and Glacier. So in our last class, Kumar was asking about this Glacier. Okay, so this Glacier is actually for S3, and it's belongs to object-based storage. Okay, and what we were discussing about the EBS, so that is totally infrequently accessed, totally different. Here it is totally different. Okay, so what is this storage tiers? We have 4 types of they're providing, like S3 standard, S3 IEA, like infrequently accessed, and S3 one zone, then Glacier. Let's understand more on each. S3 standard. S3 standard is stored redundantly across multiple devices in multiple facilities, and it gives 99.99% availability. Means it provides high availability. That means your file immediately, whenever you want, it will be available to you. No chances of downtime. Almost 100% availability to provide the service, right? They claim it. Now, what it says, stored redundantly across multiple devices in multiple facilities. And the second one is S3 IA, that is infrequently accessed. What is this infrequently accessed? As I already have discussed in our EBS section, EBS class, for the data that is accessed less frequently, but requires rapid access when required, right? Lower fee than S3 standard, but you are charged a retrieval fee. You are charged, remember this point, whenever you are doing a solution architect, whenever you provide solutions to your company, you should remember all these things. You should keep all these things in your mind and provide the solutions based on that. What it says, it is lower fee than S3 standard, but you are charged a retrieval fee. It is giving, like, it is giving a good, offers, right? It provides less amount if you keep the files and all this, but behind, it's also charging for the retrieval fees, right? So infrequently access, as I said already, if the files which you don't need certainly to be there, like you hardly monthly once or half yearly once or yearly once you access those files, like month-end data, year-end data. Whoever has worked on these month-end data or year-end data, they can easily understand. Like whenever, like in your bank section, if you talk about the banking section, banking sector, those people, they keep their transactions 1 month old data, 6 months old data, or transaction records to some storage which is infrequently they access. Whenever a customer claims to retrieve the transaction details, right? The transactions for 6 months or 1 year data, then they will retrieve from the infrequently access. Okay, so you have to choose wisely which one is best suit for your requirement. The other one is S3 one zone IA, one zone IA. That is called one zone infrequently accessed. Want a lower cost option for infrequently accessed data. What is this point, guys? One zone IA means your data or your bucket, wherever you store your file, will be available to one zone.
Like
It will not be,
region?
like, see, not like region. In one region, how many availability zones?
Oh, 3.
Could be more than one. You can say more than one. Some region having 3, some regions having 2, some regions having 4 or 5, right? It's more than one. Okay, so every region having more than one availability zones. Like for Asia Pacific Mumbai, we have 3 availability zones. And when we say S3 one zone available, infrequently accessed, that means your data will be stored in one particular region, in particular zone of that region. Suppose you have chosen Asia Pacific Mumbai, and it will be there in 1B zone. Suppose you have selected your data to be stored there in 1B zone, or internally it will store in 1B zone. Okay. Suppose something happened that your 1B zone, that availability zone, is collapsed due to some disaster happened, natural disaster, some flood happened, some earthquake happened, and in that area, particular availability data center, that particular data center is damaged. That means your data, you will not be able to access it if you keep it in one zone. That's why they're providing very lower cost, right? And the other two, whatever we learned, S3 standard and S3 IA, that will be they keep those data in multiple availability zone. That's why they claim 99.99% availability, almost 100% availability. That's why they claim they keep the data. They keep the data in multiple availability zone. If one availability zone is down, your data will be still accessible with the another availability zone. Okay, and for that they charge like that way. They charge as per the policy. Here they charge very lower cost. And the other one is the Glacier, which is very cheap, even cheaper than S3 one zone. And it is used for archival only. A standard retrieval time takes 3 to 4 hours. Normally, you would have seen whenever you request for a transactions more than 1 year or 2 years, your account, your bank transaction, and they will say like it will take 3 to 4 hours or 24 hours. You'll receive email in your email ID, right? They set a day times 24 hours or 2 hours, or after 30 minutes you'll receive this email. So Glacier is something for archival purpose, because most of the banking sector, they archive their transactions. If more than 5 years transactions or 10-year transactions, they don't need those transactions very frequently, right? Whenever is required, they'll just retrieve it some audit purpose. Otherwise, it's not required. So they'll for their safer side, any kind of future audit or something, they can keep it in the Glacier side. If the bank wants to keep for 20 years of data, they can easily keep it. If the bank can afford, few banks, they don't keep it even more than 10 years of transaction. If you go and request for that, some banks will say directly, no, we don't keep it for 10 years of data. I'm just talking in general, right? So now it's clear, guys, about all these type of stands, all these tiers. Or any doubt on this? It's very straightforward, right?
Yes.
So Kumar, you are clear now about the Glacier and whatever we have talked about?
The only thing is that cannot install the operating system. That's the main thing in S3.
Exactly. Okay. So you cannot install, yes, you cannot install operating systems, and you cannot install applications or anything. That means S3 is not bootable. The simplest way, S3 is not bootable, and EBS is a bootable.
Yep.
It's a bootable device and it is not bootable, as it is an object-based storage, right? Good.
Yep.
And S3 also provides, guys, very good platform. In the first thing, whatever I said, S3 provides developers and IT teams with secure, durable, and highly scalable object-based storage. Developers, right? Why? It provides S3 versioning. The versioning is most important for any file you keep it, right? So whoever has some development knowledge or automations knowledge or have worked on the development side, they definitely would have used the version control system. That's called source code management to store the source codes, right? To store the files. S3 also providing that facility to version control your objects, to version control your files. That's why most of the developers like freelancing dev. I could say freelancing, not all the companies, because the companies, they will choose Git and GitHub, the source code management, right? The tools, GitHub is highly popular in the market. They can go with that. Most of the people, most of the companies are using. But whoever, suppose you and may like someone be doing the freelancing, doing some projects, why unnecessary go and though GitHub providing free access and storing your codes freely, you can go with GitHub also. If you are going to use S3, you can still do that, because S3 handles the versions of an object. The version is greatly managed. It acts a great backup tool. You can retrieve the previous version when needed. Suppose you want to keep your source codes in a bucket. You have multiple modules and you are starting working and keeping all the files in the bucket. If you want to retrieve the previous or any versions, whatever you want, you can still do that. Like we do in GitHub, same thing, we can retrieve the informations, previous informations from the S3 version, S3 to S3 bucket, okay? So once the versioning is enabled, it cannot be disabled. Just remember this point. Once the versioning is enabled, it cannot be disabled. It can be suspended only. So once you enable the versioning, you will not have option to disable it. Only you have to suspend the complete versioning system. Then only it will work. Okay, that's the point you need to remember. Okay, so that's all about these things, and these S3 static things we'll talk about later. And so this all about this bucket. Now let's do a demo quickly. Not quickly, we have sufficient time, so we'll have to do a good demo and we'll understand more depthly on the S3 side. Okay. Okay, so before doing the demo, let me tell you a few more things also. Okay, let me complete these 3 slides, whatever is pending, then we'll talk about this demo. Okay, S3 static websites. What is that? S3 provides a platform to host your website, right? It's very good service. It's very good feature, I could say, which S3 provides. Like you can host your own websites absolutely free. Absolutely free. But there are some terms and conditions and some dependencies. For that dependencies, you have to pay some. In this world, not everything free, right? If they're saying one thing is free, the other thing is dependent to that, and they're charging on top of that. So that is their business strategy, right? Every cloud provider, not only the cloud provider, every companies, whoever providing service in the market, they charge in any other ways, right? What it says, S3 can be used to host static websites, that is serverless website. That is serverless website. S3 can be used to host static websites, that is serverless website. What is static website and serverless website, guys? Where the dynamic pages will not be there. Like there will be no server-side scripting, no server-side code, only static website, static pages like the HTML and CSS pages, that's all. No PHP, no Python, no Java, no .NET, nothing. That is the server-side programs, PHP and all this. Those are the server-side scripting or server-side languages, right? Those cannot be, you cannot use those things in the static website. Static website is only the website for the informations, for the data only. You cannot click event-driven buttons and all. You cannot click all these things, right? So I could see here, I could show you, I have hosted one of my website, right, on this S3 storage. I'll show you. That is ranjitswine.com. If this is my website. In 2018 or sorry, 2017 or 18, I had hosted this on S3. Okay, this is still from 2018. I think I had hosted this one, and it's running on S3 storage. Okay, but as I said, not everything is free. They are only providing that bucket to host your website is free, but to get your website, okay, what you have to do, you have to get your domain first. Okay, let me complete this. What it says, it's very cheap and scales automatically. It's very cheap and scales automatically. Static only, cannot host dynamic websites. So dynamic websites where you have the server-side scripting or server-side programming. It does not support. Okay. So to host your own website, you need to purchase and set up the domain name service first. Domain name service first. You need to purchase and set up the domain. So where do you have to purchase? You have to purchase from Amazon. So here you have to pay for that. Okay. Apart from that, you have to, whenever you purchase the domain, right? After purchasing the domain, you have to go with the hosted zone. Again, you have to pay for that. I'll show you what are the things you have to do in our networking classes. Okay. Now the static website, it gives us a feature to host the static website freely. Also, we have the S3 transfer acceleration. We'll talk about the latter. And we have the cross-region replications. Cross-region replication. This transfer acceleration and cross-region replications, little advanced one. We'll talk about once we do the demo, once we do the hands-on. Okay, let's go ahead and quickly do the hands-on now. So for S3, you'll find the services on the storage sections. Okay, in the storage sections, go to that and you'll find S3. Okay, click on this S3. So you'll be landed into the S3 dashboard here. So you'll see here, I have few S3 buckets available here. I have few S3 buckets available here. Now let's go ahead and create a bucket. Okay, a few S3 buckets are there. Let's go ahead, nothing to be done here. Let's go ahead and create a bucket. Okay, and keep a bucket name. I'll give as it is demo bucket, something like this, demo bucket, and which region you want to keep your bucket. Let me keep it in Asia Pacific, Mumbai, AP South 1, and copy settings from existing bucket. This is optional. If you want to copy the configurations and settings of the existing bucket, you can go ahead and do that. The object ownership, what it says, SCLs disabled recommended and SCLs enabled. What is SCLs? SCLs is nothing but access control list. It's called access control lists. Okay. So what is that? If you do this SCL disabled, all objects in the buckets are owned by this account. Hence, nobody can access your object. Access this bucket and its objects specified using only policies. And objects in this bucket can be owned by other AWS accounts. Access to this bucket is objects can be specified using SCLs, right? So let's select disable, which is recommended. Okay. What happens here? As I said, very beginning, newly created buckets are private by default. See, this is blocked. Block public access setting for this bucket. That means it is blocked. It is ticked, right? Block all public access. That means it is private. Nothing can be accessed. So if you want to make it public, simply select it. And all will be, and it will give us one warning. Turning off block all public access might result in this bucket and objects within becoming public. And you can select whatever things you want to be public specifically. We'll talk about later, okay? Now, yes, acknowledge it, okay? I just made it public, okay? Now, bucket versioning, I'm not talking about now, we'll talk about later. Encryptions is not required. Normally, whatever encryption, data encrypted, right? Encryption, if you want to put it, you can go ahead and put the data encryptions, okay? Let's talk about the advanced settings. Object lock, it's disabled. If you want to object your lock permanently so that nobody can delete it or write it, that means only can be read by the people. So you can enable it, okay? Now let's go ahead and create the bucket, right? You selected all the things which are required, right? Give your name and all. Nothing is there much. Go ahead and create bucket. Okay, so what it says, bucket name must not contain uppercase characters. So be careful whenever you write. So let's do bucket. So bucket with the same name is already exist. That means as it is universal, somebody might have created demo bucket. So let me give us demo bucket tests. Okay, this bucket is available. Now let's go ahead, create bucket.
Sir, could you please explain what kind of scenario we will make this as a public?
Okay. Anyone can answer before I could answer it? If you understand clearly, that's a very good question. You want to be scenario based, right? Anyone can answer if you understand. Which scenario we can go with public?
Information sharing.
Yes, correct. Anything?
Maybe within a team, other people need to access.
Yeah, that's good. Okay, let me tell you. The information sharing, that is where you need the message or any kind of informations to the world. Suppose you are working for a company. So all we are talking, everything should be related to the company and real-time experience, right? So what happens to the company when they will go with public access? Suppose they use the S3 bucket to keep all the data which meant for the audience, which meant for the customer to see the data about the company portfolio, about the company's quarters results, or whatever you want to make it public. You can put everything there in the bucket and you can share it, right?
You have to make it static website or something like that?
No. I'm just talking about the data. We can put it there and your website can access those data from the bucket itself, right? Or see,
but does not lead to the security.
No, those data are meant for the public, right? Those data are meant for the public to see the informations, right? Suppose, okay, let me give you another example. Suppose you have an application, okay? You are a company and you have created an application. And through your applications, a customer wants to make, make some kind of data, some kind of transactions with you. And you have to put those transaction informations or receipt You can put the receipt in the bucket, and you'll give the public access to that particular account so that that account can have access to your bucket. So that is partially public. That means access to the particular customer who has access to your applications. And few other things are like the informations which you need to be visible to the customer. And like Karthik said, the informations which will be shared among the team, among the company, then you can put it the public with the particular access level setup. So we have to think about which thing can be public and will not have complete impact on the company or the organizations. Then only you go with the public. Like I put the static, as I said, I put this static as static website, and I made completely public because it should be visible to the public. And when you make it public, you have to keep in mind that you only made the read access, not the write and delete access. That we'll see in our policy section, okay? S3 policy section. So clear, Kumar?
Yeah, okay.
Okay. Now, so any doubt or anything, just ask me immediately. We'll just discuss more on that, okay? So you can see here, I have few buckets, okay? See, though I created this demo bucket test, I just created today, right? It is not entirely public. It is not entirely public, but it says objects can be public. Still, it is not entirely public. Okay, but if you see these buckets which are designed and which are made public already. Okay, now any objects in this file, suppose in this bucket, suppose this is a bucket, right? And if you want to see this particular image, if I just open this particular image, right? And I'll get this object URL, copy this, and just put in the URL, hit enter. See, it gives me the complete image I can view. Anyone can just keep this. If I share this with anyone, they can easily find this one. Okay, now if I go to the bucket, same bucket again to find other objects, suppose this index.html, and if I just copy this and go to the browser, paste it here, see, it's a static website. So simple, without any domain name or anything. I've just created one index file and put it there. So here it will be your complete URL. All right, I'll show you everything in detail. Okay, don't worry. Now this is how you have to use it, because these things require to be public access. If you don't give public access, then it will not be visible to anyone. So you have to, those kind of things you have to make it public. Okay, now let's go to our bucket, and I'll show you. Just click on this bucket. Nothing is there, right? Let's go ahead and put a file there. Okay, what we'll do, just upload, add a file. I can go here, suppose I'll put it something like lots of things are there, but images I deleted, I think. Few images I deleted. Okay, let's create a file. Let's create a file. Okay, so what I do here, what I'm going to do, let's create a file. Hello. Test.txt in the desktop. Okay, let's go ahead, add the file, go to the desktop, test, put it here, right? Now, if you see here, I have just put one file here, and it is the size 45 bytes. Okay, and we have the destination details. And in the destination details, we can see the bucket versioning is disabled. Let it be there first. Permissions. Okay, and in these permissions, what it says, grant public access and access to the AWS account. I'm not going to give anything here. Storage class. In the property sections, you have to put the storage class. Now here, the storage tier, you have to select what type of storage class do you need. Either standard or standard IA, one zone, Glacier, all these things are there, right? Based on that, it has a also price for that, okay? Per GB fees apply, per object fees apply, and all these things are there. Though, as I said, it gives up to 50 GB free, up to 50 GB free. After 50 GB, they'll charge you. After 50 GB storage, they'll charge you. Up to 50 GB, it is free. After that, they'll charge you. Okay. Now let's go ahead and simply, and the rest of the things I'm not going to do anything. Let's go ahead and upload the file. I uploaded the file. Okay. Now I close it. So if I go here, we have different tags here, right? Different tabs. We have the properties. In this is object. In the object tab, we see the object related things. This is the object, type of object, when it is modified, size, storage class. Got it? Properties. In the properties sections, we have the object versioning, which we have not enabled. We'll see it later. And we have encryptions, which is not. And we have intelligent archiving. We don't need any archiving, server access logging. We have event notification, event bridge. We have this transfer acceleration also. We'll learn this one. We have object lock. Object lock is something which, as I said already, write once, read many. Once you have to write, you have to read them, and nobody can write or delete it. One can modify it. Okay, and then static website hosting. Okay, those things we'll see in details. Don't worry about that. So properties and then permissions. We have this block public access. If you don't change that one initially, you can still come here and edit it, and whatever changes if you want, you can do it. Okay. In the permission section, in the permission tab. And we have the bucket policy. Based on the policy, you can just change it or add it. Object ownership, right? Object ownership. And you can see here, we have this access control list, right? Who can access your object? Here you can control. In the access control list, you can control. So the bucket owner, that means who is the owner? The account is the owner. Can list or write, can read or write. The rest is not visible to anyone. So here, based on the requirement, you have to provide the access. So Kumar, if you want your objects to be visible to the entire world, kind of static website or some static informations or kind of any data which you think can be shared the world, you can put it there and provide appropriate access. If you want to be specific to your project, to your company member, to your colleagues, then you have to control over here, right? So now,
What is list there in objects?
Similar kind of read. That means you have to list the object. You can view the object.
Like in Python list? Or...
No. It's totally list. Here, list means listing. Like read means reading and writing, right? Here it will be listing and writing the objects. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. So you can write the objects here also. And one more thing here, what you have to do now, if I go here and suppose I want everyone to access this, I want everyone to access it. So what we can do, we can simply modify this. So how we'll do that? we can edit it, but still we don't have edit. Okay, let it be there. I'm just showing you. Later I will do that. And management, access point, all these things are. Now let me show you to access this object. How will access it? First, click this object. That whatever we were seeing it, those details are related to the bucket. Those details are related to the bucket. Now let's do and check the object related informations. So properties, permissions, versions. Okay, properties, permissions, versions. Now, if I go to the properties, we have all this owner, AWS region, last modified, about this object. And we have this S3 URI, ARN, Amazon resource name, entity tag, and object URL. This URI, unified resource identifier, unified or unique resource identifier or unified resource identifier, Amazon resource name or ARN, entity tag, object URL. These three things are important to remember. Object URL, wherever you want, all these links, right, are API based, where you want to trigger the objects through APIs, right? Through APIs, through a program, or a Java program, or a C program, or a Python program, or a shell script, then you need to use this URI or the ARN based on the programming language you use. And the object URL also similarly based on the.
Can you explain about the ARN, please?
Yeah. So here the ARN is the Amazon resource name, and this is the unique name based on the file and bucket you created. Okay. And here the first, it will be named as ARN, then AWS, the service provider, and the service. Remember this name, whatever it is written. Let me maximize a little bit here. So what it says here, ARN, the type of resource or something like it's called Amazon resource name, and the service provider and the service. Then bucket name, if this service is related to this bucket. See, all these ARN, Amazon ARN, right? So if I just go and check for the Amazon ARN, it is nothing but the unique resource number. You could say Amazon resource number, right? What it says?
Where do you use this? Like, what is the purpose of this ARN?
ARN, see, that's why in the API call, in the programming, right? Whenever you want to access the object.
Yeah, but you still have the URI and the object version, right? So
yeah, there are different ways. See, the ARN, whenever it's required, whenever you're accessing object within the VPC, within the same account, cross-region accounts, cross-region VPC, there are lots of networking stuffs. I'll talk about this in detail when we have the ARN sections. That time you need the ARN. Whenever you are talking about two accounts, when we are talking about two VPCs and two different places you are keeping, that time you have to just work into one on the ARN. But the URI is specifically for the APIs. And there also, whenever you're talking about the accounts, there also you have to use the API, not the ARN. You cannot directly use the ARN in the blank. Like we use the ARN, we use the object URL if you need to talk. And this object, you can see here HTTPS. If you want to get it from the web browser or through the HTTP, you can access this one. Okay. And this ARN, if you want to know more about this Amazon ARN, just simply search for this. And that's why whatever we are talking, right, just focus on these areas and try to do more on that, search more and try to understand what is this. This is the ARN format, whatever I was just talking about, this ARN partition, service, region, account, ID. So every every ARN, every services has their own ways of writing the ARN, and it is unique. It is unique. Okay. See examples: IAM users, SNS topic user, ARNs, BPC ARN, all are different. Okay.
Okay.
All are different, and how to use that everything. We'll talk about this in details. Don't worry. It's a
Okay.
different topic. Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. So now what we'll do about, so, this URL we can talk about, URI we can use in the API or programming language to accept it at the use the objects. And here the object URL, if you want to access this through browser, if you want to just put it there, and what it'll do, it should open the object and you can view it. Suppose you have any website and you can provide this link to view that object, you can do that. Okay. And what it says, it has the access denied. It has access denied because we don't have the ACL. We don't have the ACL access provided. So what we can do now, we can simply provide access to that. We can simply provide access. How we can do? Go to the not to this permission. Okay, we have to give two ways. One is the object permissions. First we have to give, and then we have to give the bucket permissions. Okay. Now let's little bit minimize this. Yeah. Now we have this only object read to the owner. Okay. Now let's make it to public access. Okay. What I'll do it, we have to edit it, but still edit option is not available here. Edit option is not available. How will do it? This bucket has the bucket owner enforced setting applied for the bucket ownership, object ownership. So what we have to do, just go to the bucket enforced. That's why I had kept it SCL disabled recommended, but you have to put it as SCL enabled. I acknowledge SCLs will be restored. Owner preferred. Okay, save changes. As soon as you save the changes, you will see the ACL will have now edit options. Right now we can go ahead to the permissions, and here see edit option is active now. Right, let's do edit here. Let's make everyone as a demo. Let's make it everyone public. I understand. Save changes. Done, right? Let's go ahead and refresh this page. Still access denied. Why? Can anybody tell?
Only we have provide file. We are not giving a permission for bucket.
You told the vice versa. We gave the permissions now. Yeah, I had opened to give to the file, but I gave to the bucket here now. Okay. So if you see here, I have given to the bucket. Okay. And this is the bucket name, right? Permissions. And I have given the ACL list and read for the bucket. So if I have to access that one, then I have to provide object ACLs, right? Go to the object, go to the permissions here, and here I have to provide edit, read, understand, save changes. Done. Now, if I go and refresh it, see, hello, this is just a text file. Simply, you can put any index.html file. You can write a good HTML, CSS index file, HTML file, and put it there, and you can refresh. Your page will be completely there. Okay. If I just ping it to you also, if you just open that, and you will find this file. Okay. Now the same thing. I put only one text file here. Let me just put one image file there. Let me put one image file there. Okay. So I'll quickly go ahead and create one image file and put it there. Okay. Now, what I can do here, simply go to the bucket, same buckets. Okay. Upload. As I said, it could be ASCII file and it could be binary file also, right? Select files. Open. Now upload. The file is successfully uploaded. Though the file is uploaded, but it will not have access. So what we can do, the bucket label permissions we have publicly accessible, but object label we have to, every time you put it through console, you have to provide access. Okay. during upload itself, we should have give it, but we did not give it. That's why we have to come here and select it, save changes. So if I want to access this image, you can directly put it here. See, to the browser, if I just give this one to you also, and if you just put it, click on the link, whatever I put it in the chat, I just put it in the chat. If you just click there, and you will find this particular image on your site also. It is now globally, publicly accessible.
Sir,
Okay.
is there any limitation on objects in buckets? Objects, like any limitation of number of objects to be created in one bucket?
No, there is no such. That's why it says what it says. It gives like unlimited, you can put it. But we never put unlimited, or we never put. So how you have to decide and what kind of files and how you have to put it there. You should not anywhere. Do you keep all your details, project reports in one folder?
No, we will divide it.
We divide it, right? So we can just keep it. Though it access, it gives, and you can put it anything, but it normally you don't have to do it, right?
You segregate different.
You have to
different-
segregate. You have to all the things, whatever we are going to learn in cloud and DevOps, everywhere we have to learn segregations. That is what the standard of the project and standard of the delivery we do.
Right.
Yeah, that's all, guys. So we can see here how we can access and at least play around with the bucket. There are lots of things are there. Maybe in our next class we'll talk about this. If you are okay, then we can continue tomorrow also. I'm just trying to quickly finish it off so that I will have another few things which I have to continue. Okay.